Good morning, everyone. So, welcome to Embracing Positivity and Maintaining Emotional Well-Being During a Pandemic webinar. My name is Alu Urbano, and I will be your moderator for this session. So, let me just remind you that this session will be recorded, and we are also streaming live through our Facebook page at Trend Micro Careers PH. So, so, before we start our fun and learning, let's just have a quick check-in. So, could you please say hi and shout out what organization you're from using your chat box? So, just click on the chat button below your screen. Make sure you send it to everyone and not just the panelists. Yeah, let me see who's here. Okay, good morning and welcome to the people from uh, CSA Davao, from Valenzuela. We have participants from NU, from Mandaluyong, from Camarines Sur, from UST. Oh, we have a good turnout today. So welcome everyone to this webinar. So before we proceed, let me just introduce our company. So who is Trend Micro? Trend Micro is a cybersecurity company that's been around for more than 30 years, leading the market with continuous innovations in virtualization, cloud, artificial intelligence, and IoT. Trend Micro has customers across the top Fortune 500 companies, including 8 of the top 10 global Fortune 500. We are made up of more than 6,700 trenders who are passionate about making the world a safer and better place for everyone. Okay, and now some reminders for our webinar. So here are the tools that you could use to communicate with us. You'll see both the chat and the Q&A buttons at the bottom of your screen. Please use the chat section if you need to send us any feedback during the webinar. And the Q&A section is where you send in your questions. So you can post your questions anytime throughout the webinar, but in order to manage our limited time, they will be answered at the end. So basic questions will be answered via chat, and the others will be answered live during the Q&A. So the raise hand option will not be needed. Kindly include the slide number in your questions so we can reply to them faster. We'll also use the upvote feature of Zoom. So if you have the same question, just click on the like button. The questions with the most number of likes will be prioritized during the Q&A portion. And you may also add details to the question by using the comment button. A polling question will be posted from time to time, so a separate window will pop up to show the poll. Watch out for it. So select your answer from the list and then click submit. The results of the poll will be shown after. Just click close when you're done viewing the results. At the end of the webinar, you will be automatically routed to a survey form. Kindly take time to answer this short survey. Your feedback is valuable to us and will help improve our succeeding webinars. Those who answer the survey will receive a certificate of attendance for this webinar via email 1 week after this session. Access to the recording of this session, key takeaways, and succeeding webinar schedules will be announced in our Facebook pages. So our Facebook pages are Trend Micro Careers Philippines and Quick Write PH. You can also send us a message if you want to request a topic you would want us to cover in our next webinar. So please like and follow our pages. So time for you to meet our speaker. So this is Bobby Claudio. Bobby is the newest member of the Global Technical Support Training and Development team. He's my teammate. He's a professional skills trainer. He has over 19 years of training experience, having started way back in 2001. He joined Trend Micro in March 2020. His training experience ranges from facilitating soft skills training, technical training, leadership and development training, and public speaking, to name a few. Aside from his BPO experience, Bobby has worked for one of the top training consultancy firms in the country and is a certified training consultant. He also worked as a leadership and development manager for the country's leading pharmaceutical retail company. His vast background will allow him to develop and facilitate modules that will aid trenders in improving their skills and better handle customer concerns while enhancing the entire customer experience. A bit of a trivia, Bobby has a wide range of interests. He's a gamer, he loves music, toy collecting, and is a car enthusiast. He is often called a big kid due to his hobbies. He also did a stint in both the music and voiceover industry. So let's all welcome our speaker for today, Bobby. The floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Alu, for that very nice introduction. Good morning, everyone. I was looking at the chat section, and I can see a lot of people from schools. So I suppose I would assume that you are educators, teachers. Thank you for joining us today. I have a spot in my heart for educators and teachers because I come from a family of teachers and educators. With my mom is a teacher. So good morning to all. Okay, Alu, I'm going to start sharing my screen.
All right.
Okay, so our objectives for today are the following for this webinar. So participants, you guys are here to learn to change your mindset into something more positive, especially in this pandemic, realizing that worrying will not solve issues or contribute to solutions, and apply this positive frame mind not only to your work but also to your personal life. Now, before we continue, let me just mention that I am not a psychologist nor a psychiatrist. What you will learn here are universal general facts and truths that will help you only if you choose to make them help you. And second, this does not happen overnight. Sometimes it takes time or it depends on the person really. Okay, so let's have our first polling question. So the polling question is, how are you coping with the current world situation? Alu, could you kindly pull up our polling question? Okay, so everyone, you have 20 seconds to answer or less. So you just have three choices. It's either I'm coping, I'm still adjusting, or not coping. Alu, while they're answering, what did you what did you choose among the three?
Well, for now, I'm coping with this pandemic. There are a lot of challenges, but we need to really adjust.
That's good. Very good. Okay, the results are just in. So most of you are coping, and that's very good. Guys, just for you to know that this is not just good news, it's also a reaffirmation of our culture. Kasi ang Pilipino talaga, madiskarte, and we're very hopeful and very prayerful and faithful. Kaya we find ways to cope with challenges, and we're very good at bouncing back from challenges. So it's good to see that you're coping. And second, it says that you're adjusting, and that which is normal. Okay, now why are we, or why did I show that particular or ask that particular question? So let me just give you a reality check. Now, the reality check is COVID will not just go away just like that. There will be steps in the process. We don't have a cure for it yet. And even if they do discover the cure, it will take a lot of time for a lot of countries to get the vaccine. Since we are a third world country, it will also take its time to get here as well. So the best that we can do at this point is to be healthy, to keep clean, to follow social distancing, and of course to stay home. Now, because of this, let me introduce to you the circle of influence. Okay, so what is a circle of influence? So imagine yourself inside this circle, just like this person with the nice boots. So everything that you see outside are things that you cannot control. So what are the things that you cannot control? Whether this pandemic, the thoughts of other people, the opinions of other people. So yan ang mga bagay na hindi natin makokontrol. Everything that's inside the circle are the things that you can control. What we're going to learn from this particular webinar is we are empowered on how we choose to act during this pandemic. Okay? So we should learn how to focus on the things that we can control. So again, the cure, wala pa, so we can't control that, right? What we can control is how we look at life and how we think and how we feel with this particular challenge that is happening around the world. So let's now explore the word pandemic. Okay, so what happens pag may pandemic? So let's look at it per letter. First of all is panic. Of course, if you remember a few days before, when we found out that we will be MECQ or modified ECQ, a lot of people rushed to the grocery. Siyempre, panic buying. That's a normal reaction. Even before we started with the lockdown, when we found out there was news already that magkaka-lockdown, people were already panic buying. The second is anxiety. Of course, there is uncertainty. especially when the virus was new. We didn't know what it did, how we got it, how we were going to get it, how to stay away from it, so on and so forth. So you get anxious. Then there's negativity because of not knowing if there is going to be a solution soon. The people around us, all this negativity happens. Next is denial. There are some people until now who are still in this particular stage. They're still denying the fact that this is happening. If you go to the United States, for example, and other countries, and some other countries, there are some people there who believe that it is still a government propaganda that the virus does not exist. So they're in denial. Emotional stress goes without saying. If you have panic, anxiety, negativity, and denial, syempre masistress ka. Mistrust is there also of yourself, of others. Impatience, because of course you'd like to go back to normal and to the way life was. And of course, cabin fever. So what is cabin fever? This term originated from cold countries, from countries where snow happens during winter. Bakit cabin? Because if there are cabins in mountains, and then in mountains maraming snow dyan, pag malakas ang snowstorm, what happens is the people who are trapped inside the cabin, hindi sila makalabas because it's full of snow outside. So they use the term cabin fever kasi hindi ka makalabas, di ba? And it's very understanding that everyone is feeling this way. If you remember, if it was not yesterday or the day before, about that ostrich caught on camera that was running in Candangsora in Quezon City, a lot of people commented na, yan ang kailangan natin, parang yung ostrich na yan. Lumabas at tumakbo, right? And yes, it's understandable people want to break free and want to go back to the normal, but we can't, right? We can't. So what can we do? Okay, what can we do? We can look at the pandemic in a different light. Okay, so using the same letters from the word pandemic, this is what we're going to discuss. So we have positive thinking, how to achieve that, the proper attitude, how to nourish your body. Okay, nourishment, because importante yan. If your body is healthy, it affects how you feel and how you think. Discovery, energy, motivation, influence, and calmness. So iisa-isay natin yan. So let's start with positive thinking. So there are a lot of things to be grateful for. We should practice the attitude of gratitude. Okay? Kasi if you look at your life now, a wise man once taught me, no, from my previous company, that kung bibilangin mo lahat ng blessings mo compared to the things that you don't have, mas marami ka pa ng blessings. So the first step is to manage negative thoughts you can't control. Okay? Kasi hindi mo nga makontrol eh. So, huwag mo nang pag-isipan. No? Put it aside for now. Instead, invest your energy in the positive present moment. What is the positive present moment? Wherever you are in the country or in the world, you're healthy, you have a roof above your heads, okay, your family is with you. There are a lot of things to be grateful for. Yan ang positive present moment. You're able to attend the seminar. That means may internet connection ka. You have a laptop, you have a gadget. There are people, or there are other people in other places of the Philippines in different situations or in worse situations. Second, do not corrupt your positive thinking by wasting time on gossip. Bakit? Kasi now that we're cooped up, ang iniisip ng tao is to talk about others, hindi ba? Yung makikichismis and everything. I remember the story about a Greek philosopher who was approached by his disciple. Sabi ng disciple sa Greek philosopher, "Master, I have news about someone." Sabi ng Greek philosopher, "Before you tell me that, answer 3 questions. Number 1, is it the truth? Number 1, is it positive? And number 3, will I learn anything from it?" So the servant said, "Master, I don't know if it's the truth. Number 2, it's definitely not positive. And number 3, you will not learn anything from it." So ano sabi ng Greek philosopher? Then don't tell me. So let's focus our energy on things that are more positive, on information that's more positive. Dream more while you're awake. What does that mean? Now is the perfect time to have goals. So since you are at home, if you want to learn something new, if you want to achieve a certain goal, go for it. Okay? Yung mga maaabot mo na goals, hindi ba? But again, it's free to na mangarap. If there are places that you want to visit as soon as this pandemic is over, why not? Hindi ba? Now's the perfect time to save kasi mas matipid tayo ngayon because we're at home. So, dream more while you're awake. No, hindi yung mangangarap lang but you're not doing anything about it. Next is don't compare your life. Instead, count your blessings. I believe I mentioned this earlier kasi the tendency is to look at yourself and say, kawawa naman ako. Always remember that there are other people in worse situations. Can you imagine our countrymen who have no roofs, who have no places to live, and are now existing in this particular pandemic, hindi ba? So, please look at your blessings. Never compare your life. A wise man once told me na kung pupunta ka sa Facebook at maiinggit ka lang sa mga post ng mga kasama mo, huwag ka nang pumunta sa Facebook, because the tendency is when you're envious, you compare your life and you take for granted all the blessings and the more important things that you have that was given to you. Okay, next is attitude. Okay, so cabin fever stress levels are high. So you have to take care with the things that you say. Kasi minsan, yung mga sinasabi natin can hurt other people. So give constructive feedback. For the teachers who are listening, syempre it's a challenge to do online training. I should know because this is a challenge for me as a trainer. And as I mentioned, I come from a family of teachers. My mom is a teacher as well. So may challenges yan. Teachers, trainers, aside from other professions, very patient ang mga yan. You have to be even more patient during this pandemic because learning is very different. So if you have students who are not as tech savvy as you are, if you are having difficulty understanding technology, be patient with yourself as well and be careful with the things that you say. Okay? And again, give constructive feedback. Next would be to be a good listener. Now is the perfect time to heal relationships with people. So makikinig po tayo. Hindi ba? If there are people who wanted to say something na matagal na hindi masabi because there was no time, now is the perfect time because magkasama kayo sa bahay. Now is the time to cherish conversations with people. Be a good listener. Maganda yan. No? Become genuinely interested in other people. Here is something that's very close to my heart because this is one of the reasons why I became a trainer, because I like to meet people. I like to know more about them. Now, take note, it's not always a walk in the park. Ano ibig sabihin yan? No? Not everybody will warm up to you. It will take time. But if you're genuinely interested in meeting people, it gives a sense of community. And at the same time, it makes you feel great. It makes you feel good. One thing that I'm very grateful for is because in this pandemic, I've met a lot of friends through Facebook, people I've never met in person. One group that I meet at least 3 to 4 times a week is a group of friends who play Modern Warfare Call of Duty with me in the PlayStation. That was started. My cousin Khalil was the one who who introduced me to the group, and they became a good group to play with and to interact with. So, and they come from different walks of life. No, so it's very nice to meet these people, hindi ba? So even if you are restricted sa bahay because of technology, doesn't mean that you cannot socialize with others. So become genuinely interested with people. Okay, show respect for the opinions of others, very important. Kasi now that we have more time for Facebook, ang ginagawa ng iba, mga predators, no? Pag may nakitang post na hindi gusto, i-attack ka agad. Don't do this. We're all entitled with our own opinions, and we should show respect for what other people feel. See things from the other person's point of view. Mahirap gawin, but baka may pinanggagalingan din yung tao. No, it's time to reflect also. Kaya siguro siya nagsabi ng ganyan, nagpost ng ganyan, or ganun yung pag-iisip niya. So you see things from other person's point of view because you don't know what that person is going through, right? Never say you're wrong. Again, sa mga educators natin, mga parents who are listening, no, let's try to avoid negative words in this time of pandemic because definitely kung tayo mga adults na apektuhan dito, the kids are also getting affected. So instead of saying mali yan, use positive words like ito ang gawin mo, ito ang dapat mong gawin. Right? A more positive approach instead of saying you're wrong. Okay. Admit to mistakes right away. Yeah. It takes a strong person to do this and a mature person to do this. And you command respect when you do. You earn respect when you admit to mistakes right away. Give honest and sincere appreciation. Mas lalo na ngayon, since we don't have the opportunity to give pats on the back, magbibigay tayo ng virtual pats on the back. Smile more often. Even if you cannot be seen, you can smile, because when you smile, it will affect how you sound. It will also affect the tone of your voice. And by the way, I should have done this a little bit earlier, just to show that we are live right now. Let me show you where I am. Hello, everybody. There you go. So, kamusta kayong lahat dyan? Just to show that we are live. Now, I will turn this back off because to save on bandwidth. So smile, everyone. No? It will really help in the way you sound and also your positive attitude and demeanor. Reflect, forgive yourself and forgive others. Yan, very important din yan. Especially now is a good time for reflection and to improve in yourself and oneself. If there are people who have wronged you, people you have not communicated with in a long time. They don't have to hear it. You can just declare it. No, forgive those people. Remember, forgiveness is not just for them; it's also for yourself. So this will also boost your positivity and your attitude in this particular pandemic. Okay, so next, let's have another polling question. So the question is, how are you feeling in this pandemic? So Alu, could you please uh, show our poll? Thank you. So you have hopeful, doubtful, or unsure. Sige. So while they're answering, Alu, what will be your choice?
For me, I'm very hopeful despite
Okay.
everything that's happening. Yeah.
All right. By the way, guys, no, as mentioned earlier, Alu is my teammate, and I really requested her to be my moderator kasi napaka-positive ng taon to, no? She's very hopeful, and I feed
Mhm.
off her positivity. And yes, a lot of people are hopeful. Thank you very much for sharing your answers, and that's good kasi that's something that we should always have in our hearts and in our lives, no? Dapat hopeful talaga tayo. Now, here's another reality check. Sometimes what we feel depends on what we do and what we eat. Kaya ang next topic naman natin is nourishment. Di ba? Because by keeping healthy, it affects your mood. Ang ano kasi ngayon, ang popular choice ngayon, although I know for a fact nagkaroon ng liquor ban, is alcohol. But for those who still have stock at home, yes, drinking is fine in moderation, but it shouldn't be something that will fill the void. It shouldn't be something that will help you go through this pandemic because, of course, it's too much of something is also not good. And your body gets dehydrated because alcohol displaces water. So everything in moderation. I myself, although bawal na, no, miss having an occasional drink here and then. But the best talaga for the body is water. If you keep your body hydrated, how you feel physically will also help how you think emotionally. Yung mga eating habits din natin, hindi ba? Okay, sabi nga nila, eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper. So the first meal of the day should be your heaviest. For those who are listening in coming from the BPO industry and from industries that require graveyard shift, regardless of what your shift is, the first meal that you should have after you wake up from a long sleep should be the heaviest kasi you need the energy to burn. Lunch, konti na lang. Dinner, talagang very minimal kasi matutulog ka na. If you have a full stomach tapos tulog ka, you'll wake up feeling, tired. You'll wake up feeling depressed kasi hirap na hirap yung katawan the entire evening digesting your food. So, thus you have the statement, nagising sa maling or the wrong side of the bed or masungit ang gising, the expression goes something like that. So, again, what we eat and how we eat will also affect how we feel. Next, eat more food that grows on trees and from the ground. Okay, so bubusina muna ako, beep beep, especially do sa mga mahilig sa fast food. Fast food is fine in moderation. Wag naman yung araw-araw. Kasi fast food, the reason we love eating fast food is because it has sugar in everything. Yung bread niyan, puro asukal yan. So magsa-sandwich ka, no? Yung bread, puro sugar yan. And then magsa-soft drink ka pa. And then magpapay ka pa or dessert. And then when you mag-rice ka pa, hindi ba? De puro sugar na yan. So you feel good, you feel great. That is a sugar high. Being diabetic myself, no? Alo and myself are both diabetics. We're experts pagdating dyan sa sugar. You're happy for a while, but when your sugar crashes, nadidepressed ka rin. So it's best talaga to eat healthier. But then again, you can have fast food from time to time. Wag naman yung araw-araw, hindi ba? Another thing also about eating greens is it helps with your movement, di ba? Kasi syempre, pag constipated ka, it will also affect your mood. So, nourishment. Next po is to sleep for at least 8 hours as much as you can. Yung mga iba kasi, they say na kaya nila in 4 hours. That really depends on the person, but I really suggest na 8 hours talaga because the more sleep you have, the better it is for your body and the better you will feel. Now, let me just share with you a statement that my best friend told me. No? Remember, you are stronger than your excuses. Kasi um, last year, I was living a very unhealthy life. No? I was eating McDonald's almost and Jollibee and all the other fast food almost every day. Sikat na ako dun sa isang branch malapit sa amin. Kilala na ako ng kahera dun sa drive-thru because almost all my meals were that. And I gained so much weight. And being the good friend that he was concerned about that. And so he told me something very important that you can exercise every day, at least 20 to 30 minutes, and you can watch what you eat. And a tip also for everyone, it is not called a cheat day. It is called a cheat meal. Kasi pag sinabi mong cheat day, buong araw kang mag-cheat sa pagkain. Breakfast, lunch, merienda, dinner, midnight snack. It is called a cheat meal. So what does that mean? Choose one meal on that particular day to reward yourself only if you have exercised at least 3 or 4 times a week. So there was a time this year that I had to pause the exercise because something happened to my eye, but I'm better now and I'm back into the routine of 20 to 30 minutes. And I guarantee you, because last year I lost about 70 pounds no, because of eating healthy and exercising. Totoo lahat na sinasabi nila that exercise release good hormones, endorphins. Totoo yan, you'll feel so much better. And especially, bubusin na ako ulit, beep beep, sa mga taong who are 40 years old pataas, we need this type of movement, no? Because it will keep of course, it will keep us healthier, our body healthier. So there shouldn't be any excuses. Find a way to exercise, especially now that you're at home. So what if you can't go to the gym? So what if you cannot jog or run? You can always go to YouTube. There are a lot of channels that you can go to. One that I would recommend is called Body Project. And for those who have problems with their knees, lahat ng mga exercise nila, karamihan are low impact and it's good cardio for us. Okay, so let's have a reality check. No, tandaan lang natin, this is not a polling question, this is just a reality check. Remember, physical health affects mental health. What you are feeling may be connected to your activities and what you eat and what you drink. So activities should be good for the body. Activities should be healthy for the body to keep your mind healthy as well. The next topic I'm going to talk about is discovery. Okay, so ano ibig sabihin nito? From the pictures that you can see, may clues na tayo. Play more games, whether it's in the PC, your mobile, your console, or board games. Maganda rin ang board games, no? Ang kagandahan ng board games, you don't need an internet connection to play this. What are these? You have Monopoly, you have chess, checkers, snake and ladders, marami po yan. Scrabble, yan, pwede yan, no? You play with your family. Kasi this way, it releases stress. At the same time, if you haven't done this before, you're discovering something new. Next, read more books and ebooks. Discover new things. This is the best time to do this. A lot of people are afraid of English. Huwag kayo matakot sa English. Nosebleed, hindi totoo yan. Kasi kung totoo yan, marami nang na internal bleeding, hindi ba? Nosebleed is not true when it comes to English. If you don't or not familiar with English, the best way to learn it is to read. Bakit? Pag hindi mo naintindihan yung word, you can always look it up in Google or in the dictionary and expand your vocabulary. There is nothing like a good book. For all those young ones who are listening, these movies that you've seen, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, wala yan compared to the books. Game of Thrones, mas maganda pa rin ang books. Even Twilight, mas maganda pa rin ang books. All of these things, no? It expands your vocabulary and your imagination, which is the most powerful computer graphics card, no? Yung imagination po natin. Learn something new, yan, uso-uso ngayon yan, because kung mapapansin nyo sa mga communities natin, ang dami nagbebenta ng pagkain. Why? Because people learned how to cook, they learned to adapt, they found ways to have income in this time of challenges, hindi ba? So learn something new. I know a friend, and I hope he's listening. If you look at this guy, no, he talagang alpha male. He rides the motorcycle. He's 6 foot tall, hindi ba? Very nice, very warm guy. And he's into plants. No, hindi mo talaga ma-imagine na mahilig siya sa halaman, but he has a green thumb. You never know, hindi ba? I know another guy, and I hope he's also listening. Ganun din, no? Machong-macho, nagko-cross-stitch, hindi ba? It's not limited for women. Men can also cross-stitch. It's very therapeutic, and you learn something new. So don't stop yourself. Sabi nga nila, education and knowledge is like a staircase. The only time you get to the top is when you meet our maker. Each step is an opportunity to learn something new. Watch educational videos, wag lang puro K-drama at telenovela, something educational, and take an online course. Maraming libre dyan. Just have to search. Or if it's something that will be sponsored by your company, go ahead. Now, I mentioned gaming, and I mentioned also this group of guys that I've met, and I just want to share kasi this is also one way of socializing with them. No? Even if I have not met, except for my cousin, of course, since I've known since we were kids, yung mga iba po dyan, hindi ko pa siya nakikilala in person. And what we do, this is an example, no? This is just a picture. Our regiment is called the X. No? I meet with this group 3 to 4 times a week after work to play. As I mentioned, it was my cousin Khalil Kaimo who introduced me to this group. of guys and one girl, no? May babae dyan, and she's also very good, a very good player. And we've built a bond in this pandemic, and we look forward to meet in person someday. Sabi nga nila, pagtapos na lahat to, let's have coffee. No, syempre iba pa rin, no? And then playing together, it relieves the stress and help us stay connected. And since we are from different backgrounds, no, there are a lot of creative people in this particular group, yung mga pinag-uusapan po namin is very colorful. Ang daming natututunan. So if you look at the picture, that's me in the middle, no? And then a friend of mine took the picture. Kung mapapansin nyo, iba-iba kulay yung itsura ko kasi ini-spray paint ako ng mga yan, no? So makukulit talaga yung grouping, and I hope they're watching. So these are ways to deal with the pandemic, no? And also dealing with your stress. Energy and motivation. Spend quality time with your loved ones. Very important. Nasa bahay ka na, hindi ba? Nandyan na. You don't have any excuses na lagi ka na sa labas. Nope. Even if you're working from home, as soon as your work is done, spend time with your loved ones. Live the 3 E's: energy, enthusiasm, and empathy. So energy, pag-usapan natin yan in a bit. Enthusiasm, be happy, be positive. Okay? Even if the world is challenging, there's something still, there's still something positive there. No? Hindi ba? Don't never lose hope. Empathy, care for others. If there are people in your household and you have friends na feeling mo are not taking this pandemic well, reach out to them. No, malaking bagay that you talk to these people, no, and let them know that you are there. Now, when we talk about energy, there are 3 kinds. You have spiritual, physical, and emotional. Yung physical, pinag-usapan natin yan. We talked about getting exercise and getting the right nourishment. Emotional energy, I do suggest that if you feel that you need to talk to someone, a specialist, go ahead. Okay, wag yung you'll pretend na kaya mo. Kung hindi mo kaya, talk to someone. Because iba pa rin when someone's listening to you and someone can give you tips on and you know, on how to deal with this particular challenge that's happening around the world. Spiritual energy, of course, is prayer and meditation, di ba? Reflection. Now, yung spending quality times with your loved ones, you have Zoom and you have Viber. Thank God for technology. Just to share, I have an aunt who lives in Canada, and she's very dear to me. She's the sister of my mom. She's like a second mom to me, and she's like a second lola to my son. Every Christmas, she and her husband visit us in the Philippines, and this Christmas is definitely going to be different because we've already anticipated that it's not going to be back to normal soon. So what do we do? Every Sunday, and I look forward to this, we have Zoom meetings with them. And then she and I, meron kaming bonding, you know. So I'm like, she's like a second mom, and I'm like her son. And we watch movies, we watch series, no, over Zoom. So because when she does stay here with us in the Philippines, yun yung bonding namin. So it does not stop. Hindi ba? If you really want to spend quality time with your loved ones, there's a way. It may not, you may not be physically there, but the fact that you are seen, that you are heard, bonding na rin yon. Okay, so I encourage people to do that. Use the technology that is present to be able to do this. Okay, now let's have an activity, right? Now you can do this now or you can do it later. So if you have a pen, write the word good at the back of either your left or right hand. Pwede ngayon, pwedeng mamaya. No? It's just to make us realize something. No? Okay, so ganito ang magiging itsura niyan. So if this is your hand, you can write the word good there. Tapos, raise your hand in front of you in such a way that only you can see the word. So, ang makikita ng tao sa harap mo will be this. No? They don't see the word and only you can see the word. Di ba? Now, why did I ask you to do this and why do I encourage you to do this? Because sometimes, especially in this particular pandemic, we need to be a positive influence to others. Okay? So, anong connection nito? Sometimes you need to be strong for others and your own fears and worry should only be seen by you. Ang mga parents natin who are listening right now, I'm a parent as well. Yes, we're worried. That's normal. Yes, we're fearful. That's normal. Especially may mga anak tayo. But we cannot show them this. They are handling it in their own way. And I'm telling you, it's affecting them in a way as well. So kung negative ka at nakikita nila yon, it's not going to help. So your own fears and your own worries should only be seen by you. You have to be a positive influence to others. Your positive attitude and outlook can sometimes only be seen by you naman. Kailangan mo ipakita sa iba. Okay? So the same thing na yung fears natin, we have to keep sometimes to ourselves para hindi makita ng iba. Okay? Sometimes naman, yung positive attitude and outlook natin can only be seen by ourselves. So we have to share that with other people. Now, we make a choice. No? Again, for those who have families, hide your worries. Remember, you are a pillar of strength, especially in these times. To others, Instead, show the positive and help others see the positive. Okay, now let's have a food for thought. No? Now, there are times that what we see others cannot or do not see, but it doesn't mean that it does not exist or that the other person is at fault. Depending on our situation, we might be responsible in helping them see. However, they will only see if they want to see. Yan. So, food for thought natin yan. No? So, kahit napaka-positive ang pagiging influence natin for others, and no matter how much we try to show it, if people do not choose, which is a very important word, no choice, it will not happen. But at least you try. Okay, it's time for another poll question. So, do you believe that this pandemic will end soon? So, Alu, could you kindly pull that up, please? So, our choices are yes, no, and not sure. Okay, so we're just waiting for the poll question to come out. Okay, so while we're waiting for that poll question to come out, guys, uh, if you were to be asked, Alu, if you were to be asked, no, do you believe that this pandemic will end soon? Is it yes, no, or not sure? Alu, are you there? Okay, so I think we have some technical difficulties. Sabi nga nila, no, we're coming in live. We have to be ready for anything that happens. So, um, well, personally, I don't think it will end soon. And I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way na it will not end anytime soon. So what is the worry here, hindi ba? Yan yung tinatawag natin na uncertainty. And that type of uncertainty, of course, can affect how we feel and what we think. And that will also inspire a form of fear, hindi ba? In our hearts. Sabi nga nila. So let's talk about that a bit. Sige. So sabi nga nila na if you're uncertain and if you are fearful, it affects the way you think, so on and so forth. Now, let me share a diagram that's very simple for everyone, hindi ba? So, do you have a problem in life? So, meron tayong yes and no. Sige. So, kung yes, can you do something about it? And if the answer is yes, then don't worry. Diba? So, it sounds very simple. Mahirap, madaling sabihin, mahirap bang gawin? Yes, mahirap gawin, pero we have to. We have to do our best to try, hindi ba? Next, do you have a problem in life? The answer is no. Eh di don't worry, wala ka palang problema, hindi ba? Pero if you think about it, it's very rare, actually close to impossible to encounter a person without challenges in life. Now, do you have a problem? And the answer is yes, and you can't do anything about it, okay, or no, you can't do anything about it, then don't worry. What does that mean? If you remember the circle of influence, kung hindi mo siya makontrol, hindi ba, worrying kasi will not improve the situation. In fact, it will make things even more challenging. It will make things worse. So, please just be aware na pagka ganyan, no? Pagka may problema ka, pwede mong ayusin, don't worry. Pag may problema ka, hindi mo kaya ayusin, don't worry then, no? Now, someone told me, so paano yan, sir? Ang problema ba may solusyon? Lahat ng problema may solusyon. Talaga, sir? Eh, paano kung walang solusyon yung problema? Ano solusyon doon? Sabi ng isang participant before. Sabi ko, ang solusyon doon is acceptance. Accept the fact that that is the truth and you need to do what you need to do. Okay? All right, so let's move on. Now we have calmness. Yan, calmness. Don't think too much about the future. Live each day until bedtime. Ayan. So, what does this mean? This is what I do, to be honest. No? Habang hinihintay natin yung cure, live each day until bedtime. Ito yung iniisip natin. Yes, it's good to plan and everything, but if we plan too ahead and things don't go as planned, kakabahan lang tayo. We'll get more stress and even get more worried. So at this particular point, it's good to live each day until bedtime. Ask yourself what is the worst that can happen if your problem can't be solved. Okay, so I mentioned acceptance. Siyempre, we're hopeful that this will not be the new normal. But in the event that it becomes the new normal, okay, because I don't want to use that term as much as possible kasi pag sinabi mo ng new normal, tinanggap mo na yun na. Ay, siyempre, hopeful po tayo that things will go back the way it was. But if the worst case scenario is tatagal pa to, tanggapin natin. If it's going to take until the end of the year, then until the end of the year, hopefully it doesn't go beyond that. Prepare yourself mentally or emotionally and spiritually to accept the worst case scenario. This is something that I learned last year. And a lot of challenges happened to me last year, from the hospitalization of my mom, my hospitalization, and my son's hospitalization. That all happened in 3 succeeding months. Sunod-sunod po yun. Ang pagitan lang are just a few days. It was quite a challenge for me. And I remember when I was the one hospitalized, sabi nga nila, no, na God works in mysterious ways. Yung pare, the priest who married myself and my wife, visited me. And I don't even know how he found out I was in the hospital. I was hospitalized for extreme varicosity ng legs. And the hospital doctors were afraid that may clot na sa veins ko that can cause further problems. So they kept me in the hospital. Sabi ng pare, take this time to reflect on your life and to spend time with God and to accept the worst case scenario, because the uncertainty is what's going to make us fearful, but it is the faith and the trust that is going to give us peace, di ba? So, in-accept ko na yung worst case scenario. Ooperahan yung pa ako, pero sana hindi. And thank God, hindi. Same thing also is with my mom. No? Thank God that she is now cancer-free. But I was preparing myself for the worst case scenario. I'll never forget that night that I told her, Ma, what if this is the last time I see you? It was the night before her operation. She was really at peace. It was the first time I've ever seen my mom so calm. Sabi niya sa akin, well, we'll have to accept that fact, anak, di ba? But I'm hopeful that I will see you again. So all of these life lessons, no, are very beneficial for us. And it will really make us stronger. Remember, what does not kill us makes us stronger. So again, these are ways to keep you calm. So ako, yung mga challenges na yan, it was there for me to learn, and I'm very grateful na kahit paano I survived them and I was able to learn. Okay, so let's have another polling question, and the question is, are you afraid? So Alu, can we flash this? Is it possible to flash the poll question?
Hey, Bob. Sorry, I
Hey,
got cut off
no
here,
problem.
but I'm
Okay.
back. I'm
Okay.
launching the poll now.
All right, fantastic. Ayan. So, are you afraid? Yes, no, or not sure? Sige. Could please everyone answer this? Sige. While we're answering, Alu, what would be your answer? Are you afraid with what's happening now?
Well, well, you can't help but be a little afraid, especially with the rising of cases. But, like you said, we need to stay positive.
Mm-mm. So, thank you for for sharing that insight, Alu. Okay, can we have the results? All right. So, yes. So, 55% say yes, 27% no, and 18% not sure. Okay, to everyone who's listening, it's normal to be afraid. It's abnormal not to be afraid. There must be some point in your life na kailangan matutong matakot ka. It was something placed in us to protect us, to keep us alert, hindi ba? Can you imagine kung may leon kang katabi, nagutom at hindi ka takot, edi patay ka na because you did not run, hindi ba? It's there to keep us on our toes. But too much of it is also bad. Hindi ba? Perfect example, no? Perfect example. Fear, if you look at fear, there are two ways of looking at it. There's a negative way and there's a positive way. Okay. So, the negative way is false evidence appearing real. Hindi pa nangyayari, iniisip mo ng masama. Hindi ba? For example, no? Ayokong mag-commute even before the pandemic kasi baka ma-hold up ako sa bus. Iniisip mo na kagad. Well, every time you go out of your house is a risk. Hindi ho ba? And if you're going to live your life that way, false evidence appearing real, thinking that bad things will happen to you, hindi ka talaga lalabas ng bahay. Hindi ho ba? So what is the positive way of looking at fear? Again, fear is there. It's natural. It helps us keep on our toes and it protects us. It should be face everything and rise. Okay. So I'm sure a lot of you are doing this, especially yung mga kasama kong parents dyan and those who are married and even for those who are single. You go out to buy groceries. You have to face it. No? Anong gagawin natin? We have to be responsible. We wear our masks, our face shields. We bring alcohol. We're a little afraid, But we still have to do what we have to do. Remember, courage is being afraid but still doing what needs to be done. Ngayon, ang hirap naman pag walang takot. Anong walang takot? Lalabas ka, wala kang alcohol, wala kang face mask, wala kang face shield, tapos nakikipagkamayan ka pa sa mga tao, kamusta ka na? I haven't seen you in a long time. That, of course, is misplaced. No, wala kasi talagang fear. Yun, that's bad. So, fear is okay if it is in the right amount, in terms it's going to keep us careful, it keeps us alert, it's facing everything and rising to the occasion. So it's okay to be afraid. Normal po yan. Pero if you're too scared, that is not good for you. So reality check po tayo. No? Fear is natural. It keeps us alert. It saves our lives. But it is very dangerous if it is uncontrolled. And remember, courage is being afraid but still doing what needs to be done. So if we look at this particular diagram, no? So who do I choose to be during COVID-19? Meron tayong fear zone, learning zone, tsaka growth zone. Sa fear zone, I search and share everything I can find about COVID-19. Kahit alam na natin na lahat, naghahanap pa rin tayo, we're really focusing on it. You get irritated easily, panic buy, act like a victim looking who to blame. Yan, in fear zone. Hoard toilet paper, food, and medicines I don't need. Ngayon, yung toilet paper po, hindi problema ng Pilipino yan. Bakit? Kasi meron naman po tayong tabo. This is just more for people around the world, hindi ba? But ayan, nag-hoard, hindi ba? Kasi takot siya. Then you can choose to be in the learning zone. I start to get let go of control, okay? Kasi you cannot control things that are outside your circle of influence. Stop consuming that which causes me harm, from the news to what I eat and drink. Or remember yung kinakain po natin in moderation, diba? I make a program for myself to make use of the time. So, pwedeng exercise program, pwedeng learning program. I recognize that everyone is doing their best whilst facing an extremely complicated situation. And you look for opportunities. Yan ang learning zone. Yung growth, I think about others and how I can be of help. Live now with a clear picture of what's next. Okay? What's next, not far off, no? But anong gagawin ko bukas, anong gagawin ko mamayang hapon, okay? Not too far off. Again, it's good to plan, but if it's too far ahead, it's also not good, no? I'm not in a waiting room or an in between. This is life. Ask, how do I want this moment to be, and be appreciative and be grateful. Remember the attitude of gratitude. Okay? Now, for calmness, when all is said and done and nothing is left to say or do, the best thing is prayer. Now, what does prayer stand for? Pray for strength, physical, emotional strength, and also strength of our immune systems. Now, do not underestimate the power of prayer. Relax and leave it to the Almighty. Okay? May purpose yan. May purpose siya. No? May purpose for all of this. Hindi ba? Ask for patience and guidance kasi minsan hindi natin nakikita. Remember, you are not alone. There are others who can help you. So as I mentioned earlier, if there's a need for you to explore talking to other people, to specialists, go ahead. Encourage positive thoughts only as much as you can, no? And remain calm. Okay, so ito ang mga last tips. And remember, going back to the word pandemic, again, we have to think positively, no? Positive thinking po tayo. We have the right attitude, nourish our minds and our bodies and our spirit. Discovery of new things, new friends, no? Again, because of technology, marami tayong makikilala dyan. We can get to know a new group of people. Energy from spiritual things, from physical things, and from emotional things. Energy tayo. Motivation, influence, and calmness. So, Alo, this is the end of my presentation. I'm now going to stop my share, and
All right.
you can all already take over. I'm ready for questions.
All right. All right. Let me just pull up questions here. Okay. So we have here some interesting questions, Bob.
Yes.
Uh, One of the top question here is, which is making people more anxious? Is it from the virus or the anxiety in the media?
Okay. That's a good question. In my opinion, we know already about the virus. Alam na natin
Mm,
yan. But because of all these forms, or because of technology, kasi technology, double-edged sword. It can work for us, it can work against us. Since there are so many ways of getting news, and there are so many ways of feeding us stuff, no ba, nagbi-build yung anxiety with the things that we see and we read. I'm not saying that you should disregard this and not know what's going on in the world. But if you
Mm-hmm.
feel that it is already causing you to be anxious, tigil muna natin. Hindi ba?
Mm-mm.
Because there are so many ways. You have the internet, you have Twitter, you
Right.
have Facebook, you have news. You have so many ways of getting the news. Aside from that, may fake news pa. Hindi ba? And yes, it is a challenging year. Aside from COVID, you have the explosion in Beirut. Then there are other things that are happening as well, hindi ba? So if you continue to expose yourselves to these things, it will really build your anxiety. So isipin nyo na, no? May stress na nga tayo from the virus itself. Tapos, you're looking at media. Now, of course, media's job is to report. That's what they need to do. But remember, it is our choice to filter and our responsibility to filter if it's not healthy for ourselves anymore. So I hope I was able to address that.
Right. Right. I think you were able to answer the next question too, which is how to deal with the disturbing information coming in. So you said just to filter the information that's useful for you
Yes.
and that's positive for you. All right. We also have another question here is how do you draw the line from healthy positivity to toxic positivity?
Okay. So whoever asked the question, thank you very much. No, this was something that we were discussing yesterday. To be honest, the term
Right.
positive toxicity, tama ba? Grammatically does not make sense. Eh. How can you be
Mm-mm.
positive and toxic at the same time? Hindi ba? Contradicting statements kasi yan eh. But the way it was explained to me and the way I understand it, ang positive toxic is yung alam mo na may nangyayari sa mundo but you're in denial. So puro positive thoughts lang.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So here is my message to everybody. Do not be in denial. It's a fact. For our children, do not shield them. Let them know what's going on. Okay? Do not underestimate kids. They're smarter than we think. Di ba? Explain to them what's going on. Talk to them like they're adults. This is what's happening in the world. That is why mommy and daddy have to wear this. You have to wear it, so on and so forth. But do not always talk about that naman. Di ba? Sabi nga nila, as I
Right.
mentioned earlier, you have to filter. So
Mm-mm.
focus on positive things, be aware of what's happening, be careful, take care and everything, be hopeful, but focus on those positive things. Ang nangyayari kasi, there's an extreme, no? Other people, what they do, positive lang. They escape, no? Through the denial, they escape and then hindi nila pinag-uusapan what's happening in the world. That's not healthy either kasi you are denying yourself also the reality. And by
Mm-mm.
doing that, you might convince yourself so much, maging negligent ka, no, nakalimutan mo na may pandemic because a lot of people have been saying that when
Right.
they go out, parang walang pandemic, may nagiinuman sa kanto, may nag-appear right
Mm-mm.
here and there. Hindi ba? So when they do that, they become negligent. That's how the virus spreads also. So
Mm-hmm.
again, to address that particular question and also the term positive toxicity, again, it's good to focus on positive things and all of these things, but do not deny yourself the truth. It's there. We have to be careful. Is it serious? Yes. But again, let's remain hopeful and focus on things that we can control because we cannot control the virus. We can only control ourselves in preventing ourselves from getting it. So I hope I was able to answer that.
Right, right. That's good. I like it when you said that you have to stay grounded as well and make sure that we also do everything that we can to avoid and adjust to the pandemic, right? Okay.
Yes.
There's another question, Bob, from
Sure.
Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
This is from Nieva Monton,
Mm-hmm.
and this is a good question. How can I convince my students that everything is under control when I myself is afraid?
Okay. Tell the students the truth na takot ka,
Mm-hmm.
but end on the positive note. Remember what I mentioned. Kasi ang teachers parang parent yan eh. Tell your kids, sa totoo lang, it's scary and I'm afraid, like you.
Right.
But let us not focus on that. Kailangan bawiin mo. Okay? Tell them that you're afraid and tell them it's okay to feel afraid. When they see that their role model and their leader is also afraid, they feel that hindi sila nag-iisa. It makes them feel more comfortable. But at the same time, you have to motivate them in such a way na, oo nga, takot ako, pero ito yung ginagawa ko. This is
Mm,
what I choose to do. And I'm afraid enough to be careful. Remember, fear is good if it keeps you on your toes. Nag-alcohol ka ng kamay, nagwawas ka ng kamay, nagsusot ka ng mask, the face shield and everything. Because if there is no fear, you get overconfident and that's when bad things happen. So okay lang
Mm.
yan. Now, if you're not ready to face your students, talagang takot na tatakot ka, then don't. Give yourself time to compose yourself. But when you do face them, tell them the truth. Sa totoo lang, class, I am afraid. I am
Right.
afraid, but this is what I choose to do. And this is what I choose to, how to handle it. And I encourage you to do the same. And let's be hopeful because again, we are trainers. You guys are teachers. We are educators. Learning does not stop. The pandemic should not
Mm.
stop us from learning because when this is over, God willing, no, and life goes back to how it was, these kids need you, role models, to be help to help them prepare. No? Remember, the parents are not alone. No? The teachers are there to help us as well. So, kailangan matatag
Right.
ka kasi role model ka.
Right.
Okay,
Completely agree with that. I have two other more questions here, Bob.
sure.
The next one is, how do I offer emotional support to friends or family members who have been quarantined?
Okay, good question.
Right.
Um, I know of people who are living with people who are suspected to have the virus. I know people who are in quarantine because they're being careful. You have technology to help you with that. So, kunyari, you're in a compound or you're in a house, and that person is confined to an area or to a room. Please make sure that that person is talked to or spoken to on a daily basis through phone, through Zoom, through Viber, para lang makita at makausap mo. Yan yung emotional support mo. Di ba? So you may not be physically there, but the fact that you can be heard, that you can be seen, is already emotional support. Hindi ba? And this is your opportunity to become a pillar of strength. So kailangan maging matatag ka because they will draw strength from you. No? If you're not prepared to do this, ask someone to join you. Sabi nga nila,
Mm.
strength is in numbers, hindi ba? So you can get other family members to do that. If you look at a lot of our commercials that come out in YouTube, it shows how, especially the one about with the song with a smile, it's a very good commercial.
Mm.
The
Yeah.
McDonald's commercial that I saw when they were wishing their Lola happy birthday, but they couldn't enter the door, and then people meeting through Zoom, that's emotional support on its own. So talk to this person araw-araw. Don't make that person feel alone and isolated. And that goes also not for people who are also in who are sick, no? If you have friends who are single, okay, and their family is away, keep in touch with these people. Kasi we should not let the opportunity of depression in. Hindi ba? So, kausapin mo, kamustahin mo. Kung may kilala kang nag-iisa sa bahay, if you know people who are widowers or widowed, yung mga ganon, give them emotional support by calling them and keeping in touch with them. Hindi ba? And that's the best that we can do. And again, as I mentioned earlier, do not underestimate the power of prayer. So, you pray for strength and pray for them. I hope I was able to answer that question.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Bob. That's really inspiring, especially for there are a lot of people right now who have relatives and loved ones who are in quarantine. I myself can relate to that, and you gave us a very good insight on that.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that's all the time that we have for the questions, Bob. So
Okay.
thank you very much. That your presentation was really very inspiring. I see here a lot of comments that were bombarded by comments in the chat box. Everyone is saying that they were enlightened, they were inspired, and they really loved the discussion. So thank you for sharing your insights on this one.
Thank you, Alu, and thank you everyone for joining us. And keep safe, everyone, and don't and please remain hopeful.
Right, that's true. Okay, just a few reminders before we let you go. There's a post-webinar survey for the evaluation. So all you need to do is to, you can leave the meeting and then it will route you automatically to the survey, or you could also take a snapshot of this uh, QR code so you get routed to the survey link. Remember, once you answer the survey, you will get your e-certificate a week after this webinar. We will also be hosting another webinar. This is the topic for August 13th, 2020 at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. It's safeguarding your data privacy in the new normal. Our resource speaker would be Jonalyn Alere. So we hope to see you also in our next webinar. Please also visit our Facebook pages, Trend Micro Careers Philippines and click right for additional announcements. And somebody was asking earlier about materials for this session. So the key takeaways for this session and access to the recording will also be posted in our Facebook pages. So please like and follow these pages to stay updated. Okay, and have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and have a good day.